This podcast is an invitation to feel and experience the souls of famous old Hollywood homes and to have an in-depth journey to the areas where they're located through interviews with longtime residents. Either you're a fan of old Hollywood in Los Angeles, planning to have a vacation, or, an even bigger step, considering a certain area for your future home. This is your opportunity to receive valuable information and insightful advice you won't find anywhere else.
Hello, and welcome to my podcast. Are you in the mood for California? Today we'll feel and experience soulful San Ysidro Ranch, featuring an interview with remarkable Keith Bush.
And it was just idyllic. I had no idea how utopian it really was. So I had no clue. It was so beautiful. And of course, you're around all these wonderful trees and the mountains and the ocean, and it was just a perfect kind of cradle for my artistry, and I had no clue how blessed I was. But it is truly a wonderful place, which is why so many celebrities and people kind of do their little
Yes.
they have their hideaway and their sanctuaries around Montecito for sure.
Masha Korpacheva is a California-based realtor and a member of the National Association of Realtors in Los Angeles. She's an advocate for selling and buying homes with soul and practicing mindfulness in real estate. With master's degrees in spiritual psychology and linguistics, Masha brings all of her skills to work with her clients. An intuit and empath, she has touched many lives with her outstanding ability to see beyond the visible and helping to come to better understanding of issues and their resolutions. An adventurous world traveler, from climbing Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania to exploring the Galapagos Islands, Masha has a particular passion for the City of Angels. Having landed in this paradise and adopted it as her home, she's been sharing old Hollywood stories since 2007. In the mood for California, feel the soul of old Hollywood.
And now, are you ready to experience San Ysidro Ranch? Long before the ranch became a beloved retreat for poets, presidents, and lovers, its land cradled stories older than any of us. Nestled between the foothills of the Santa Ynez Mountains and the Pacific Ocean, this corner of Montecito was originally part of the vast lands stewarded by the Chumash people who thrived in the region for over 10,000 years. They called this place home, drawing life from the oaks, creeks, and coastline. Then, in the 1700s, change rolled in like a coastal fog. The Spanish arrived, and by 1769, the Franciscan Padres, led by Father Junipero Serra, established Mission Santa Barbara nearby. The land that would become San Ysidro Ranch was folded into the mission's holdings and used as a sanctuary for missionaries traveling between Mission Santa Barbara and Mission La Purísima Concepción in Lompoc. The ranch got its name from Saint Ysidro, the patron saint of farmers and laborers, reflecting its agricultural role. San Ysidro Ranch simply means Ranch of Saint Isidore. After Mexico secularized the missions in the 1830s, the land passed into private hands as part of the Rancho San Ysidro land grant. For decades, it remained quietly pastoral, dotted with citrus groves, olives, and vineyards, the sun-dappled soil gently tended by ranchers. The real transformation began in 1893, when Harold Chase, a man from a pioneering Santa Barbara family, purchased the property. He saw its promise not just as farmland, but as a sanctuary for those seeking beauty and rest. Chase and his family lovingly expanded the ranch into a citrus farm and eventually into a rustic resort. In fact, the ranch's original citrus packing house still stands and has been lovingly preserved. By the early 20th century, San Ysidro Ranch began to whisper to the hearts of travelers and dreamers. The elegant yet unpretentious setting drew notable guests seeking privacy and inspiration. Winston Churchill visited and wrote parts of his memoirs under its oaks. Vivian Leigh and Laurence Olivier honeymooned here after their wedding in 1940, as did John F. Kennedy and Jacqueline Bouvier after their 1953 wedding. The Kennedys' honeymoon cottage is still one of the ranch's most sought-after suites. Throughout the 20th century, the ranch flourished as a quiet hideaway for artists, writers, and thinkers. Audrey Hepburn, Lucille Ball, Sinatra, Bing Crosby. The list reads like a who is who of grace and charm. Yet, despite its famous guests, San Ysidro Ranch never flaunted its allure. Its magic has always been subtle. Rose gardens blooming with abandon, stone paths winding under ancient oaks, and the soft rustle of eucalyptus leaves carried on the ocean breeze. In 2000, businessman Ty Warner of Beanie Babies fame purchased the property and undertook an extensive, sensitive restoration to preserve its historical character while elevating its comforts. After the devastating 2018 Montecito mudslides, the ranch was severely damaged, but true to its resilient spirit, it reopened in 2019, restored and even more beautiful. Today, San Ysidro Ranch still feels like stepping into a timeless embrace. Lavender fields, ivy-covered cottages, and crackling fireplaces welcome guests who come not for spectacle, but for serenity. The land continues to hold its stories gently, offering quiet moments where past and present blend under the same California sun. And what does it feel like to stay at San Ysidro Ranch? Well, the first thing you notice isn't the luxury, but the peace. Lavender fields sway in the breeze, roses spill over stone walls, and gravel paths wind softly beneath ancient oaks. Your private cottage feels like a refuge, with a crackling fireplace, sun-warmed terrace, and the faint perfume of citrus drifting through the windows. Mornings are golden and hushed. Breakfast under lemon trees, coffee mingling with the scent of rosemary. You wander shaded paths, linger by old sycamores, and sit in gardens where Churchill once rode. Time seems to slow. You realize you're not checking your watch or telephone anymore. Evenings are filled with the scent of wood smoke and the glow of twinkling lights. Dinner under the stars feels timeless, with a glass of Santa Barbara wine and the hush of mountains standing guard. At night, you soak in a lavender-scented bath, windows open to the cool breeze and the gentle whisper of oak leaves. A stay at San Ysidro Ranch gently unspools the knots you didn't know you'd been carrying. You leave rested and softened, with a quiet smile, knowing a part of you will always linger under the oaks, where time rests gently and the soul feels at home. And here we are. Welcome to San Ysidro Ranch. I'm so delighted to have Keith Bush here with me. Keith Bush is a gifted pianist and lifelong musician whose music speaks directly to the soul. With over 25 years of experience, he has performed at fine resorts, art shows, music festivals, and with orchestras across the country. Raised in Montecito, California, Keith's connection to the piano began at age 2. Described as a genius savant, He blends masterful technique with a deep emotion, creating performances that are both powerful and intimate. He leads his own orchestra, teaches, and cultivates meaningful musical relationships. Guided by his philosophy, love always wins, Keith's life and music are rooted in his love for God, people, and the healing power of sound. Today, Keith will share with us what it was like to grow up in Montecito. Hello, Keith.
Hi, Maria. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Very good. It was so lovely to meet you in Montecito the other day. It was magical.
Yes, well, it was magical for me, and I hope we'll talk more about it during our conversation. And I was so delighted to find out that you actually grew up in Montecito, and it's a pocket of like paradise tucked between the mountains and the sea. So, what was it like for you as a child? How did the beauty of this place shape you both as a human and maybe as a musician?
I was very blessed to grow up in Montecito. My parents had a home in Carpinteria, but I went to Howard School, which is like a private school. So from the day that I was in first grade, from first grade to like third grade, I got to go to this really nice school in Montecito, and it was just idyllic. I had no idea how utopian it really was. So I had no clue. It was so beautiful. And of course, I mean, you're around all these wonderful trees and the mountains and the ocean, and it was just a perfect kind of cradle for my artistry. And I had no clue how blessed I was. But it is truly a wonderful place, which is why so many celebrities and people kind of do their little
Yes.
they have their hideaway and their sanctuaries around Montecito for sure. Yeah.
So true. And so, for someone who has never been to Montecito, how would you describe the essence of this little town? What makes it special beyond the postcard perfect landscapes?
Well, you have people that live there that are truly like California itself is the world's ninth largest economy, and Montecito, I mean, there's so much wealth and people that have truly perfected their careers and their crafts to be able to bring such wealth to that area. And honestly, it's like I mean, if you think about the San Ysidro Ranch where we were, I mean, I think Reagan was there. I mean, some very, very, very wealthy people have gone there and it was some
Yes.
very affluent and very well-known people have been, see I used to run into celebrities all the time as a child. Jonathan Winters was hanging out a lot. We'd see all kinds of people. Rob Lowe, of course, it's well known. Oprah lives there. Ellen, some of the very famous celebrities have a house there. I think Jennifer Aniston, of course, Harry and Meghan are here. So there's just an extraordinary plethora of luminaries that have graced us in California. So it's a real special place. And I mean, not everyone appreciates that because it's so hidden, but it really is a sanctuary for a lot of people that are in the public eye and people that have been extraordinarily successful at their
Yes. Yes.
mm-hmm.
Yes. Absolutely. And do you have some favorite places, maybe in Montecito, quiet corners or hidden gardens, or maybe even people
Yeah.
that hold meaning for you?
So Howard School is very special to me. That's where I learned French and I learned how to do cursive. I mean, it's a really special program. The Cardin School, they used a lot of really old world learning processes that really helped me in my musicianship. I've always loved Howard School. There's amazing oak trees. I mean, Montecito is chock full of special spots. I don't know if you've ever been to the Lotus Gardens. It's pretty amazing. The Natural History Museum. There's just so much to see. But yeah, I mean, the gardening, the way that people, the architecture, the way that people set up their homes is just legendary. I mean, absolutely utopian, paradisaic. I was brought up as a Jehovah's Witness, so we were often knocking on people's doors and you'd be at this person's house, which is like multi-million dollar house, telling
Yes.
telling them that they need to change their life and come join us. And it's hilarious because they were just like, yeah, but well, we already have a paradise here. So I mean, I had no idea until I moved to New England how special it really was. But I was very blessed to grow up there. Went up to Pierre Lafond quite a bit. It's been there forever. I mean, some of the great spots, Butterfly Beach. I don't know if you've been there. It's really nice. I mean, some
Mm-hmm.
pretty special spots. There's a hot springs. You can go hike. A lot of really wonderful hiking up in the mountains. And I mean, there's all kinds of treasures. If you just kind of meet some of the locals, they'll tell you all the really great spots. But yeah, it's just a special spot. You know, it has a lot of significance in my life. My grandfather made sure that I had piano lessons, and I was taking piano lessons there. I took lessons, and we just had a lot of very well educated children that I got to hang out with as a child, which I had no idea how like removed I was from a lot of the more difficult life situations that people were subjected to just by accident of birth. So I
Mm-hmm.
had no clue how beautiful it is. But yeah, special spots. Lotus Garden, definitely. I mean, the zoo's great. Montecito's well known for its gardens and its landscaping. You know, the polo grounds. I don't know if you've seen that. That's pretty amazing. You know, there's just some really special spots. But yeah, I would say some of the ones I mentioned are really good. Of course, the San Ysidro Ranch is of course a wonderful place
Yes,
to stay.
yes,
Hmm.
yes. And we met at San Ysidro Ranch after lunch, and
Yes, and your husband, who you also met there, is that right? Or
yes,
you
yes, no, yes,
your
correct.
anniversary?
Yes, it's our favorite place. And
Of
sometimes we
course.
just drive there from Los Angeles to Stonehouse for
Mm.
lunch or brunch on Sundays. And this place has a special meaning for me. And you really added to this meaning because when we met at the reception area and you started playing the piano, it felt honestly as if time itself paused to listen. Really, like the way
Aw.
you moved through Rachmaninoff, then danced into Chopin for my husband, it really felt like it was a conversation between your soul and the keys. So, what does it feel like for you when you sit at the piano and play just like that?
I've been playing since I was 2 years old. I had a very surprisingly, I didn't know. I thought everyone could do that. And when I was young, I was like so happy as a child. I didn't know. He used to tell me that I was showing off, and I was like, "What's that? I don't know what that is." I was a really young child when I was playing melodies off the radio and trying to like just bring joy into the world. I was such a happy child. Yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I improvise a lot, so I enjoy playing the great works, the great composers. Chopin, you mentioned, Rachmaninoff, definitely two of my very favorites. I play Mozart, Bach, Beethoven. I am building an orchestra, so my LAW orchestra, and we will be working through a lot of the major works, Beethoven symphonies, and a bunch of other things. But I would say just connecting with you guys was such an experience of love, and it was so moving. And that's what's always been kind of an addiction for me is connecting with people. It's such a special thing. It's like when you play music for people and you kind of reach them in a very spiritually special way where you're
Mm-hmm.
you're not you're telling them that you love them through like the vibrations and that you bring into the room. I mean
Yes.
there's nothing. I've had so many magical moments with people that don't have any words, just the music I'm playing, and they're literally crying or joy or whatever, and need to learn, Icelandic or Greek. There's just this universal language that my wife used to say, because she was a massage therapist and a healer and kind of into the natural healing world and very much into the energy work and things. She used to say that universe means universe, it means one song in Latin.
Mm.
And I used to think about that a lot because, when you really think about it, we're all on the same planet. We wake up every morning, it goes around the sun, the sun goes around, sun rises and sets on all of us. And music is one of those things that no matter where you're from or what language you speak or religion or political background you are, it generally can move everyone in a very kind of a unified way. And
Mm-hmm.
that's really kind of why I like to play because I've seen rooms of people, just the energy in the room becomes such a delightful feeling. And that's why I like to play. That's how it feels, because you get to make people feel loved without
Mm-hmm.
having to translate into all the, phonetic ways that we communicate, So yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. I can clearly hear that music is a vessel of love for you to share your love with
definitely.
the world.
Definitely. Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
it.
But at the same time, music can also be a vessel of memory. Maybe you remember the first time that music moved you in a way that you couldn't explain. Where were you? What did it awaken in you?
My father loved jazz. He loved, Crosby, Stills and Nash Young and Simon Garfunkel. I mean, when I was in my mother's womb, I'm quite certain my father was playing, all the great 70s, 60s music and jazz. And he was a huge music appreciation. When jazz was coming up and the lines of racism are being kind of let down more, and people were crossing each other. There was more. It was kind of like one of those ambassadorial kind of things where music was becoming more of a, jazz was becoming a thing. My dad was very much on the cutting edge of that. He loved that stuff, and so his joy, his love. He even played music for me when I was in the crib, and he said when I heard music, he said we'd put music in your ears or headphones over you, your little baby. He said you would start to dance, and he said it was so beautiful. And both of my parents are just fantastic people. They really are. They raised
Mm.
us very well. We were raised in a religion that was kind of restrictive, but in some ways that was protected me from a lot of the world's, more darker side. And I actually still consider myself a Christian, but you know, I find that Christianity can be a very divisive thing, and I really don't like anything divided. I like people coming together no matter what. I'm sure we can all find something we have in common, whether we eat hummus or sushi or hamburgers. It doesn't really matter. Most people's human experience is universal. We all want to be loved. We want to be noticed. We want our gifts to be appreciated. We want to bring something into the world. We want to have family. We want to have a special someone in our life. So I think there are universal themes that you can bring into that. But yeah, I mean, when I was a child, I had a really good memory. I have memorized quite a bit of the Bible. I play chess, so I can play blindfolded chess, and I just have a good memory. Music is it does stimulate parts of your brain that the memory, your brain kind of like communicates with itself in a very,
Mm-hmm.
it's like if you put your brain under an MRI or see how the light, what lights up, it's the whole brain lights up when you listen to something or when you're playing something. So it's a really does help. That's why my school, my orchestra, we're really trying to train kids to be virtuosos. We're doing a television show called "Would You Like to Be a Virtuoso?" And I
Mm-hmm.
think you met Justine, right? Remember
Yes,
Justine?
yes, of
Now
course.
Justine's going to be one of our screenwriters for the show. She's a fantastic wordsmith and just a brilliant person. So we connected through her music and I just can't wait to have her on our team. And we have a lot of really cool projects planned. You're welcome to check out my YouTube channel. It's called Love Always Wins. My name's Keith Bush. We're giving away 10,000 homes to the first 10,000 subscribers to my YouTube channel with our parent company, Freedom Homes, and that's a shipping container home company that will be taking shipping container homes off of assembly lines in under a minute. That's our project. But yeah, that's a whole my two companies, Love Always Wins and Freedom Homes, my brother's company. We're working on that. But yeah, I mean, I would say my memory because of music is significantly more enhanced. Yeah, that definitely. And music and love and just anything that you love. I don't know about your poignant memories that are special to you, but I would imagine, the first time you guys went to the San Ysidro Ranch is a poignant memory, and there's that just wells up all these wonderful dopamine and serotonin and oxytocin or whatever happens in our brains when we feel good, and
Yes,
that's what I think life is about, is in kind of trying to capture those moments and recreate them. Yeah.
yes, yes, so true. And love always wins. Like
Yes,
it
ma'am.
really sounds not just like a phrase for you, it feels like a philosophy.
Yeah. I would say like, you say kill them with kindness. When I was a kid, I was very much a believer in God, and Jehovah's Witnesses do teach their kids some interestingly strange and very awful things, but they also teach them some incredibly wonderful things. Michael Jackson was a Jehovah's Witness growing up, and Prince was interested in it as well. I would say there's some good and bad things about all religions, and it's sad to say that the philosophy of Christianity is love everybody, but that rarely gets practiced in genuine boots on the ground kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what my YouTube channel is about, exploring that. Because I mean, you could walk up to any denomination of any religion, whether it be Buddhist, Hindu, or Episcopalian, or whatever, and generally treat others how you want to be treated would not be a bad thing for most people.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, but generally you're not going to see the history of Christianity full of people loving their enemies and feeding them. So it's hypocritical to walk around and say you believe something and not live by it. And that was kind of my disillusionment. I broke away from the religion probably about I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, and they end up shunning you because they're right and everyone else is wrong, and that's not a Christian thing to do. But like, I think it's understandable. Like if you have these Amish communities, it's very protected, and for good reason. People try to protect themselves from the outside world because there are some dangerous elements in it, like drugs and crazy. There's some very bad things, and my parents are grateful, very grateful, that they protected me from a lot of that. And I'm back at college and getting my doctorate in music now, and I can look at it objectively and have compassion and empathy for my parents, and they're just wonderful people. But it's very sad that they have to shun their children simply because a bunch of old men have decided that they're right and the rest of the world is wrong, and anyone that disagrees with them is to be shunned, and they can make billions of dollars off the hard work of their pawns and their interesting eschatological philosophy. Which, I mean, Jehovah's Witnesses is essentially just a kind of a doomsday cult if you're honest about it. It's very dark, and there's some very bad elements to it that many activists have been working against. So, but no, I'm very grateful to have been brought up in it, simply because a lot of the elements were about love, and love is very important to me, and I think it's a theme in a lot of religions. So that's my basic philosophy. We're going to be doing episodes, certain aspects of the Bible that I find to be more positive. First Corinthians 13 is a pretty well known passage. Love is patient, love is kind, love does not get provoked, love is not get jealous. So we're going to do an episode on jealousy, an episode on bragging, an episode on kindness, an episode on forgiveness and patience. And we're going to explore these biblically, but I really don't want to get scholarly about it. And then we're going to explore them in other contexts, other philosophies, other religions that embrace these principles in their own special way, and try to kind of find common ground between humanity. Like, what do you agree on? Like, do you agree on this? Do you agree on that? Would you rather be kind or cruel? And just discuss those themes. So that's my philosophy, that love always wins, in the sense that if you're kind and you're able to generate compassion for the people that are cruel to you, well, then you win. And they do too, eventually. If you're able to sustain that instead of creating more hate. I mean, you do not create, you don't, fighting fire with fire just makes more destruction. It never works. And then, the theme of humanity is so riddled with foolish escalating conflicts, and it's so silly that people could just, with proper just grounding, and you generate genuine compassion for people, you can quell a lot of the hatred and create more win-win scenarios instead of win-lose ones. So that's the kind of philosophy we're trying to promote. And it's really just kind of my love quest. I don't know what love is. That's why I'm doing this. And I'm hoping that other people can teach me and I can teach them, and it can be a collaboration.
Well, what an honorable cause. And you really come through as a person who is very passionate about creating beauty and healing through sound.
Yes.
So what do you hope people will feel when they hear you play?
I remember I've played for lots of people, crowds of people. I played for, just one person. And I don't know how to explain it. Call it whatever you want. But when I play, I feel like I'm tapping into something spiritual, beautiful. And then, I want people to feel that they're important and special, that they matter, and that life is truly beautiful. Yes, it has a lot of pain, and there are a lot of questions and confusion, and nobody really has it all figured out. But we do have some very beautiful things to enjoy, like ice cream and pizza and music and art and nature. And focusing on those things is truly healing. And when you talk about healing, like, my wife was a massage therapist. I think, aren't you like in a healing field yourself as well, kind of? Yeah, I think the healing arts, music, massage, doctors, and a lot of doctors have really, really good bedside manners, and they really do love their job. So people that are into the kind of more humanitarian healing aspects of life, that's what I'm about. If you're gonna do no harm, show immense respect for people's background, where they come from, their worldview. That, we're all born. We don't get to choose the worldview that we're given, but we are given it, and it should be respected, honored, and tolerated in a way that allows people to feel free to be themselves without, being shunned or criticized. Everyone has as they say, all God's creatures have a place in the choir. So, yeah.
Yes. And finally, Keith, if someone is listening right now and this person is feeling maybe a little lost or discouraged in their own creative path, what would you want to tell them? What wisdom would you offer from your journey?
No, I mean, I have enormous ups and downs. I'm very creative. Of course, I play some of the hardest music in the world. I play the Rachmaninoff's Third Piano Concerto, Campanella by Franz Liszt. These are very hard pieces, and it took me a lot of hard work to get there. But never give up. Just hold on. Some days are going to be really, really bad, and you just have to ride them out. Your emotions are good. They're giving you a message, and you do need to feel them. I wouldn't recommend numbing. A lot of addictions is just avoiding your feelings. I
Mm-hmm.
would say like friendship is very important. Having someone who you can cry, there's your shoulder on, someone you can feel really like open with, crying or angry, whatever you feel, they're not going to judge you. They're not going to tell you to stop or get over it. They're going to let you express. A
Mm-hmm.
friendship is a very important thing. But yeah, I mean, creativity can be sometimes it's you've got all this wonderful life flowing through you, and then other days it's just dead as a doornail, and you have nothing to offer. And that's just part of being alive. But right at the low parts, that's life. Life is going to have those days. There'll be days like that. But now that I'm kind of building my orchestra, and my wife passed away about 3 years ago, and then of course during that time I was discovering the real nature of my religion and how hypocritical and insane it really kind of is, and how dogmatic and judgmental these men are. I mean, they really do believe they have the one true religion, and that everyone else will die, which is an insane belief. So yeah, there was a lot of dogma, and it was all thrust on me. But I would say now that I've healed a lot from that, trust the process. Your body is an amazing miracle. It is very resilient, and if you just give yourself kindness and patience, and I like to, when someone hurts me, I really always try to pray for them. And then I really try to genuinely, like, just wish them the best, even if they're cruel and just deliberately hurtful.
Mm-hmm.
I always try to leave them with a space that say, hey, if you ever want to, the door's open. I forgive you, and I'm so sorry you're going through whatever you're going through. I'm sure you felt like you had to say all those things because you're hurting, and knowing that people are hurting sometimes gives you more of you actually have more power. I think it's interesting, these power dynamics that exist in our world today, where people think they're more powerful if they're beating somebody up, is as an absolute win lose. There's nothing. You lose energy when you hate and when you're cruel. You don't have vengeance and revenge. It never really is what it's meant to be. What you think it will be.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, when I was first waking up from they call it waking up, Jehovah's Witnesses, a lot of ex-witnesses, you realize what's really going on. You get very angry and you want to there's a lot of things. A lot of times kids will get molested, for instance, very dangerous. And men in positions of authority, and this can happen in any religion, will put it under the rug. The child will get kicked out. The victim will be blacklisted, and yet the person inside gets to maintain the image and their reputation as spotless. And it's more about image than it is about substance for a lot of religions. I would say it's not the private life that matters as much as the public life, where they drive around airplanes and talk about how much Jesus loves them more than everyone else. And, it's very hypocritical. But I would say, no matter what, don't give up, and remember that you are special. You exist. Everyone exists on this planet and has gifts and has something very unique and special to share with the world. Do not ever, ever invalidate your experience. Your experience is unique and it's special, and only you can share that puzzle piece that makes the world the grand mosaic that it is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow, so powerful. Keith, thank you so much for this conversation, for sharing your heart, and for sharing your music with us, with the rest of the world.
I can't wait to have you. Yeah, I can't wait to have you at our concerts. And I mean, I just meeting you was such a beautiful, beautiful moment. And I just really enjoyed the both of you. What is your husband's name again?
Artem. Artem.
Artem, he's just fantastic. Both of you were just so in love, and it was so beautiful to see. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Keith. And thank you for everything that you're doing, no matter how difficult your path is. Continue to stay the way you are and continue to spread love around the world because, as you say, love always wins.
Thank you so much for this. This is just fantastic.
Thank you, Keith. Until next time. Thank you very much for tuning in to feel and experience San Ysidro Ranch and Montecito with my special guest, Keith Bush. If you enjoy my podcast, In the Mood for California, please sign up for future episodes at your preferred platform and please leave your feedback. I really appreciate your time and support. You can follow me on Instagram at In the Mood for California and check out my website www.inthemoodforcalifornia.com. Selling and buying homes with soul is not just my real estate strategy. It's an intuitive and holistic approach that embraces your values, aspirations, and conscious intentions. If you want to discover the power of mindfulness in your real estate journey with my compassionate guidance, I'm here for you. Next time, we're stepping into the fascinating world of Hollywood Forever Cemetery, a place where the history of old Hollywood is still very much alive. We'll explore the stories of classic film stars, visit the beautiful grounds where they're remembered, and continue to rediscover the magic of Los Angeles, a city that has inspired dreamers and storytellers for generations. I just cannot wait to share this experience with you.
In the Mood for California, feel the soul of old Hollywood.